Hi, I'm Leslie DeTrani,
I'm Dorothy Mitchell.
and we are business immigration lawyers. We're here on behalf of the Association of Business Immigration Lawyers to talk about business immigration options for refugees, asylees, people who may be fleeing their country, Ukraine, Afghanistan, or for any country for that matter, and are here in the United States to talk about some options that people don't usually think about. So your specialty is J1, which is great because it's not what I know a lot about. Can you talk to us a little bit about how we could use the J1 program to help people here in the United States or abroad?
Yes, certainly. So the J1 visa is a non-immigrant visa, which means it's someone who is not an immigrant who doesn't want to stay in the United States for the rest of their life and who has the intent to leave the US after they were here.
So that would fit really well with refugees and asylees who are, temporarily not able to stay in their country.
That's correct. Yeah. So it's a exchange visitor program officially. It was created by the Department of State and is administered by the Department of State.
So now, if someone gets a J in the United States, like could they do that from outside the country? Like how would that work?
Yeah, they could do it from outside the country or they could file a change of status. If they are here, they arrived as a visitor, they could change status to that J1.
Okay, and then the J1 being a non-immigrant visa, are they allowed to work? I know there's different J programs. So how if I'm an HR, professional and I've got a staffing shortage and I'm trying to figure out how I fill this hole, but I also would like to do something considering, the mounting crises in other countries, how would I go about that?
Yeah, there are great different options under the J1 program. So, one is, for example, as a teacher. If you are a school and you need to employ a foreign language teacher, you could use the J1 program. Or if you are a university, J1 programs are available for researchers and scholars, for scientists, but also for specialists. So if you have in your company, you have a need for a specialist on a certain topic, the J1 program would be wonderful.
So I know we're creating these videos for employers of all sorts. So educational institutions, hospitals, private employers, large employers, small employers. Um, any difference in the different types of employment?
No, more in the program. So depending on who you are, what your business is, what your organization is, you would look at the type of workers you need and look at if there is a appropriate J1 program. The what is important, the J1 is issued through an organization that's approved by the Department of State, and they often get their authorization to issue the J1 documents based on the program. So, for example, there are organizations that specialize in J1s for teachers, or for physicians, or for researchers,
My favorite one is camp counselor.
and for camp counselors. And then the different J1 programs have different requirements. For example, if you want a specialist, they have to have a post secondary degree and they can stay between 3 and 12 months. So there is a time limit on these programs.
So if I'm an HR professional and I have a candidate in the United States identified or maybe outside the United States that I think might fill a void, if I fit into one of these categories that the J can sponsor, then that's a good option for me.
Yeah, that would be a great option. We would have to review if if your candidate qualifies, if your position qualifies, and you would then reach out to the organization that can help with preparing the required documents and get the approval. If your candidate is outside the United States, they would have to apply for the visa at the U.S. consulate. One very important point with the J1 program is there are certain individuals who can be subject to a 2-year home residence requirement, meaning when they are done with their J1 program, they cannot change to an H1B or L visa. They would have to depart the United States and live abroad for 2 years. And this 2-year home residence requirement depends on different factors. If they received sponsorship or money from a government, from the U.S. government or foreign government to do their training, they have to leave. Or if they are on a special skills list where the country requires them to return home. So
and
that's
then for
something
physicians, there's always that,
and for physicians.
That's very hard
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
But there's waivers sometimes. Right?
There are waivers, especially with the skills list. And also we're looking at options for refugees, especially from Afghanistan and from Ukraine. And both countries are not on the countries that have the
Skills
requirement.
list.
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And we're almost out of time, but you can't stop talking about Jays without talking about one of the nicer things about Jays.
Yeah.
And it's the spouses, right? So people often come to the United States and they might come with a spouse who works. And it's very difficult when you bring someone in, their spouse doesn't have work authorization. So you want to talk a little bit about work authorization and J2s?
Yeah, so J2s, the spouses can apply for a work authorization document. So the spouse can actually also work in addition to the primary visa holder, which is a wonderful benefit. Children cannot work. We often get questions, we have adult or children who would be working age 16 to 21. Can they do an internship, paid internship? Can they work during the summer break? Unfortunately, they cannot, but the spouses can.
So when thinking about, business immigration options in non-typical settings, J's are one of the options one should look at when they're thinking about filling voids in their workforce.
Yeah, definitely. It's
Right.
a good option.
Thank you.
Thank you.